See so many, it's hard to keep up with.
Come to order. Good. Welcome to the Hamblen County Legislative Body Committee meetings for November 12th, 2024. I ask all our commissioners to please turn your mics on. And we ask that you speak clearly and to the point. Turn your cell phones, everyone, not just the commissioners, but everyone needs to turn their cell phones off, or I can't remember the word that the mayor used, snooze or
Vibrate.
whatever, buzz or stun or whatever. Just make sure they don't ring or start playing a tune if you can with us. And let's keep this civil and let's keep it upbeat and get through this. I know we've already had Veterans Day yesterday, but I do want to take this opportunity to recognize our veterans. I'm not going to ask you to stand, but we do appreciate your service, your sacrifice, what you did for our country, and the very basis of what we have right here tonight, in large part to those that served and sacrificed during that time. And from me, I think from the whole commission, we can say God bless you for your giving, and in our minds, you're each and every one heroes. Before we get into our committee meetings, I do want to bring one thing up, and I think most of us have been aware that the Planning Commission met on Monday night, and they handed down a proposal. And that proposal is not cast in stone by no means, and it'll more than likely go back to them. And we had a article in the newspaper on Saturday that addressed this. I know several of us, probably all of us at one time or another, were getting several phone calls, getting stopped on the street with a little bit of panic about what was taking place, what was going on. So what the mayor's guidance, we put together a article to put in the paper, and I'm going to give you the highlights of this, and hopefully this will be into the record, and then we can take this back to our constituents and let them know it's not time to push the panic button. We're not making people homeless. On November 4th, 2024, the Planning Commission drafted guidelines for campers in Hamblen County. These guidelines were posted on social media by a citizen not associated with the Planning Commission or the County Commission. This posting has caused great concern in our community. These guidelines have not been presented to the Hamblen County Commission. This issue has come up in the past. However, we've not taken any action. It's had some discussion. Our desire as the Hamblen County Commission is for all citizens to live in the least restrictive way possible. The Constitution ensures the pursuit of happiness. This right is valid, but restricted. In other words, you cannot infringe on others' rights, such as allowing raw sewage to run into creeks or into other people's properties. You can't have an overabundance of trash obstructing right-of-ways or blowing into neighboring land. We've had other items concerning storage and recreational use of RVs and campers. This will all be evaluated before this body will make a move on it. And I assure you, as chairman of this commission, we will make every effort to protect the rights of all citizens in Hamblen County on this and all matters. And I request and ask that if there are any questions about this, we're down one, but we have 13 commissioners on board right now. We have a mayor. We all have telephones. We have emails, text messaging, all kinds of social media. But I ask you to contact us and let us give you the correct information, up-to-date information that we have, and please refrain from going on social media and blasting especially, when you don't have all the details. So I ask you that, and I think it'll make this whole process be a whole lot smoother. We're ready to start with our committee meetings, and we'll start with the Justice Center Public Service Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Got you. I'll call this Justice Center Public Safety Committee to order. If there's anyone wishing to address this committee, may do so at this time. Seeing none. Item 3A, old business, there is none. Item 4A, new business, Justice Center project update, Jerome Delwater, Burwell Construction.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The project is still sitting at $94,873,731.11. We have billed to date 93.86% for a total of $89,043,842.11. Substantial completion was set for September 30th. The contractor is finalizing their schedule, and it looks like it's closer to the mid-March before we hit substantial completion to finalize this. Some pictures that we've got to show progress. Terrazzo flooring is complete. I've got control, don't I? There we go. Terrazzo floor is in, placed, complete. Looks gorgeous. It's covered up so nobody will see it at this point, and it's being protected. Different views of that. Some different finishes that are in place. We're seeing the security talk-through transaction counters there have been in place. Some of the different jail cells that are being completed. Hardware is being placed. The security is finished for the ceilings. These are open ceilings still till we get all the open ceiling inspections, which will take place. They'll start taking place in December. Beautiful millwork. I don't know who's been on tours over there, but the millwork is absolutely gorgeous. That's one of the courtrooms. I've got various courtrooms in there. Just to show that, and these pictures don't do it justice. So walking through today, I stole a piece of just a cutoff of the base that's being used. I thought I'd pass it around just so you get a feel for the finish that they're using. European beach, beautiful finish. It's going to be beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Oh my God, that's gorgeous.
If you haven't done a tour, I think they allow that for commissioners. Definitely walk through and take a look. Continue on. So security systems is all of the cabling's going in. I thought this would just be fitting to show. This is for one floor in the jail cell. Thousands of Ethernet and security wiring that's going in place into one little location to manage all of the doors and lighting and everything else for that. We're seeing some of the finishes going in. Here's the laundry systems are being placed. So owner's equipment, some of the owner's equipment's going in. This is a cabinetry that's been delivered as of today. They're going to start installing most of the cabinetry and all the different clerk's offices and things. You're seeing all the accessories going in, tiling's complete, protected. The accessories are going into the restrooms. It's good seeing this part of the project. Yeah, more security systems. I didn't know I had that one in there. The thing on your item tonight, which will probably open up most of the discussions, is we're not presenting any change orders at this time. What we did issue was a construction change directive. This is for something that came up as they onboarded Securitas, which is their security subcontractor that's starting to run all of that security systems that you're seeing there. The servers, the everything that's going to manage the doors and lighting and everything else for the entire jail system. And as they were being onboarded and they're starting to bring in and setting what they needed, it was discovered that there was not enough dedicated circuitry to manage that system. That was discovered October 17th, I believe. It's only been a few weeks. And it elevated quickly to start figuring out what that would take to get that in place. We had some numbers initially that were around $205,000, I think it was, vetted through it as much as we could, brought it down to what we have presented today at $192,492. We're still, under our recommendation, was to continue as a constructive change directive, which caps that number there, but it's a not to exceed number so that we can track and verify what's taking place out there and gives us a chance to vet this fully throughout this process. And we didn't want to stop the contractor at this point. We didn't want to delay as a county, delaying the contractor any as they're moving forward. Right now we are looking at a substantial completion of middle of March. On the contractor, we didn't want to be the responsible for pushing that out any further and taking on any of that. The circuitry that is involved, dedicated circuitry, should have been in the design. I'm sure that'll be a question that comes up. It was specified in the spec books for this particular hardware to manage all of the doors, the security doors that are on there, the security systems. The power should have been designed to match that. Now, if we look at it from this standpoint today, we look back and go, had it been in there, we would have been covering some of that cost to deal with that. The systems that are there, the transformer and possibly the circuitry and the conduit and all this other stuff that has to be ran up to these different security rooms in the different levels, would have been part of what was been in our initial bid. Some of those costs should have been covered at that time. That's part of that unjust enrichment terminology that we've used in the past, right? Either way, we're still putting this into the list and the stack of things that we're going to be continuing to negotiate with as we move forward between both the architect and the contractor on that. I can probably ramble on, but it'd probably be best if I just took any questions that you all may have regarding that.
Commissioner Green?
Thank you, Chairman Horner. First question, that humongous amount, that $192,493. Divvy that up between the door that's listed and the circuitry as to which one is what, please.
One more time.
How much of that is door? I noticed by what I'm looking at, it says related to an added detention lock door electrical below that humongous amount of $192,493. I caught the circuitry, so I'm curious.
It's all electrical. There's no door hardware that's associated to this. It's already included in the door hardware's here and being installed.
So every bit of that amount is the circuitry.
Correct.
Okay. Now, my next question, whose fault? I noticed what you said earlier in the design, so who's going to bite this big humongous bullet?
It'll definitely be put in there to be negotiated as we move forward. So, personal opinion?
Yes, sir. Please.
There's language there is language within the specifications that mentions the contractor is to coordinate some of this early, or it's supposed to coordinate some of this. So if they've got the different things, if they got the schedules for what power is needed, they're there to coordinate things. As a contractor, would I have found that? Probably not, and I will now. It's part of our lessons learned moving forward on any project as well. So personally, that'll be something we'll be reviewing early on. Either way, there's still not enough power being taken to that place. So what things would we be looking at that are different at this point? Well, we've got to remove ceiling grids That's a cost that wouldn't have been associated to it, right? So there's there's time and material associated to doing that. Core drilling through the block wall, there's multiple that needs to be done. There's a significant cost for that wouldn't have happened had this been designed in originally, right? Some of the cleanup or paint touch-up, some of those. And then who knows what the design would have been if this was coordinated early on. So it should have been in the design. And if it was in the design, the county would have paid for that upfront. There's some costs above and beyond that we definitely know negotiable. Beyond that will be, it'll be on our going negotiations. So hopefully that answered.
Any idea when we will know if they're going to foot the entire bill, or if they're going to foot a ratio of the bill, or what?
It's something we wouldn't want to talk about in a open forum, public forum like this.
We've not had the opportunity to have any of that discussion. We've had a contract attorney that we've been promised a report ever since the God-owned commission, and I have yet to hear one, much less see one. And I'd like, for the sake of the Hamblen County citizens, to see one. This ungodly maneuver has went from 75 million to over 103. And I don't mean to be disrespectful. You've done a fantastic job, but it needs to be controlled. It needs to be budgeted the same as some of us older citizens have to budget. But thank you for the explanation. You did an excellent job, because I don't understand a lot of this. You did an excellent job, sir. Thank you.
Thomas?
Was the installer of the security, can't remember what the name of it was, Securitas, had they already provided specs prior to the design with the architects, or is this something that was decided upon after the architectural drawings?
They are providing first spec.
Before the architectural drawings were done, or after?
Or it's after. So
After.
It's based on the bid. Yeah.
Okay, so the architectural drawings would have no way of knowing what needed to be put in?
No, it was their design. So their electrical design,
Okay,
and it was their specifications for the hardware that was in
okay, so
place.
they would have had these specifications,
We
so,
did not mesh
yeah,
from the beginning. Had they meshed, we would have had that incurred within the
Yes.
big cost that we had.
okay, so the architect did specify this. That's all I was wondering. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So it's good to know, so it's just the electrical cords and all that have to be drilled through and all of that. Does this 192 take care of, I guess we need some kind of box out there, what do you call those things? What do you call them? That are out
Power
there?
panel and the transformers. all
That
that.
kind of thing. Does it include that, or is it just the circuitry inside?
It's a complete system to bring the power where it needs to be. So on the basement level,
Yes, sir.
ground zero level, there will be a transformer set within one of the electrical rooms. From there, they'll run the conduit to each floor. They'll go through each floor. The first floor has a 400 amp pass-through panel, and next floor has 20 amp pass-through panel. The third floor, I think, was like 150 or 200 amp panel. It's about 150 amp panel on the third floor to handle the direct circuitry that's needed for the system.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Commissioner Neesmith?
I was just gonna say, the architect's gonna bite the bullet on this. The cost, and the materials, and the labor. The architect will, for $190-something thousand.
Are you asking or are you making this?
I'm asking the question.
Will it be put in for negotiations, for sure? It's part of our staff that we're doing that.
Thank you.
Commissioner?
Got one question. The 11 weeks it's going to take to do this, is that going to delay this project even longer?
Well, it's going to, if there was any time delays that they were looking for, it would have been associated to that. The days would have been requested. But it's concurrent to the delays that are already in place that has nothing to do with this, so.
Can I ask one?
Anyone else?
Yes, sir, thank you. So you mentioned that if this had been in there, we would have kind of assumed the cost anyway. Okay. So this was a glitch that just kind of got discovered?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, more to the point. Okay, thank you, sir.
What is the projected date now to finish this?
We don't have it finalized with the contractor as of yet. We should hear before our next meeting. But it's tracking to mid-March for substantial completion.
Okay.
Beyond that, they have 60 days to get us in and ready. And final completion will happen 60 days beyond that.
So 60 days past March for us to start using it? Am I understanding you correctly, sir?
I would think so, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
It'll be as substantial as when you start moving in, using and bringing in all your FF&E, and we're doing that now ahead of time. We got 60 days to finalize everything, new issues that we come up with.
Anyone else? Do I hear a motion to approve this change directive?
Motion.
Have a motion, do I hear a second?
No second. Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Dolan. Thank you. Who made the motion on that?
I did.
He made the motion and
I second it.
Okay.
Joe second.
Get that? Okay. Thank you, Chairman Horner. Come over to our Public Services Committee. Chairman Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the Public Services Committee to order. Any visitors, item 2, any visitors wishing to address the committee about the agenda items only can do so at this time. Seeing none, we'll move on. Item 3, none. Item 4A, surplus item for EMA Chris Bell, EMA Director. He's not here tonight, but what it is, they have a 2006 Ford Crown Victoria that they want to surplus, and they're asking permission to surplus that. So do we have a motion for that?
Motion to approve.
Second. Second by Mr. Long. Any discussion? Let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed by the like sign? Hearing none, the motion carries. Item 4B, approval of the 2025 regularly scheduled meetings of the Hamblen County Commission and committees. You've been provided this. You had a chance to look over it. Couple of different things, a June meeting, and then we also have our normal October meeting that's moved to a Tuesday. So do we have any, have a motion for that?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Howe, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kyle Walker. Do we have any discussions? Yes.
Chairman, you might want to add that we will again in May, most likely the end of May, early June, have a one Saturday budget session. We're planning for that. Just, if you'll note, with June the 16th, that was backed up a little bit to give us time to work on that. So we hope to have that one Saturday budget meeting to get a lot of work done and have a little room in there.
And this time, we're looking at probably May the 31st, which allows the Memorial Day holiday to take place without interference. Any other discussion? If none, let's take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed by a like sign? The motion carries. Thank you. Item 4C, order establishing work release commission. Chief Ellis, would you like to comment on that?
This is something that's already active. It is a commission of 3 individuals who take applications for inmates applying for work release. And they vote on them for certain requirements, no felons, no non-sex register. They're monitored. They have to take costs. This is a revamping of the old commission.
Okay.
New members.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion to accept this revamping of the old commission?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Ahern, second by Mr. Huntsman. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Howe?
Yes, sir, thank you. So these three, that means they get out and go to a job, but it isn't a go help a charity, something or other, it's a job?
That could be part of it, but while they're out, they are on ankle monitor. Most of them are going out to like Walker State out here at the center out there, rescue squad.
Okay. But they come back at night in that time? Yes, sir, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, let's take the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, or against, say like sign. Motion carries. Item 4D, we have discussion on the noise issue. And I think we have some information from you. We have information from you on that?
Well, in regards to that, the sheriff sent an email to the Tennessee Sheriff's Association.
Bobby, could you give somebody, give him a mic? We can't hear what he's saying.
Can you come down to the podium? Yeah, there you go.
Sheriff Mullins contacted the Tennessee Sheriff's Association, and the association then sent the email out to all the 94 sheriffs. 16 responded back. Of the 16, there is one that has an ordinance.
Okay. Any other comment? I've got a report here. Basically, there's 16 responded back. There's one that has an ordinance, but he said it's difficult to enforce. Another one has complaints going to the Planning Commission. And then another one, it's addressed as disorderly conduct statute.
Correct.
And then another one said that they can only enforce state law and no ordinances in the county. So out of the 16, it looks like only one has a true ordinance against that. Okay, and
Correct.
Mr. Capps, do you have any information to share? You and the,
Mr. Richardson, I don't have any information to share. I just knew at the outset that this was going to be a very difficult thing for this body to address. And frankly, that private action, as I've always said, is going to be the better course for folks. As much as I know that you all would like to have a resolution to it. I understand that some folks may have hired an attorney. That's what I've been advised. So
okay.
maybe they'll take care of it.
Okay. All right.
Anything else about it I'd like to bring up?
Any other thing else that you would
Mr.
like to
Chairman,
bring up?
let me say one thing here. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Sheriff couldn't be here. He's out of town. And the reason we put this on here is to address this is that the citizens of Hamblen County understand that you want something done, and while all of us here will agree, our hands are tied. There's just literally nothing, and we've looked at this, and there's just nothing that we can do. I mean, if we attack one, then the cow's mooing up, some mooing, or braying, or whatever, then people could say that's disturbing them also. And so it could really cause some issues for people in Hamblen County. Most ordinances, and I know it's been brought up before, are in municipalities. Most municipalities have a noise ordinance, but as you saw what Mr. Ellis and Mr. Richardson brought up, most counties don't have anything. It's no ordinance. And it's right here, the 14 out of the 16 that responded, no ordinance. So that's one of the things that people, they move to the county, and certain expectations are that there's going to be cows mooing and sheep baying and whatnot. They don't expect loud music going on all the time, but again, there's no definitive answer, no division between the music and the cows. And that's what we're being told. And I've talked to a judge, of course, Mr. Capps, Mr. Ellis, the sheriff, Captain Cribley, and there's literally nothing that Hamblen County can do. And I know that's not the answer most people wanted, but that's where we're at this point. Mr. Richardson, back to you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Howe.
Yes, sir, thank you. I'm not believing that. I'm believing that what you just said earlier matters, that if somebody is pouring sewage in my driveway, that's not right. Mm-hmm. If somebody is keeping their radio way up there, and they're doing it from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., they're disturbing my rights. And if they did go and get an attorney, then what does it take for them to win a case? Do they not have to say, look, I have it documented that I have called the sheriff's department 10 times. I mean, what does it take to provide relief for citizens who want, what you said at the very beginning, who want to enjoy the peace and quiet of living in Hamblen County? And I can't believe that nothing is the answer. I have to think that there is, and I guess you hire an attorney and he says, what's your problem? And you say, well, I've got this noise issue. We'll prove it. Well, gee, I hope they can back it up and say, I called the sheriff 10 times and they said we can't do anything, and then on the 11th time, this is not just one. I don't want to pick on one. I'm just saying that we need to come up with something that can take care of the, as you said, the enjoyment and the rights of Hamblen County citizens, because it is affecting their peace and quiet, their quality of life in our county. And it isn't just one venue, it is other venues and neighbors, and it'd be like if we let our cows out and we said, yeah, don't worry about it, they just like your grass. Well, hey, that's not the right way. And so I'd expect we'd be in a big mess of trouble, and I'd like to see if we can't figure out something to help our citizens. Thank you, sir.
Well, it's at this point, there's no crime being committed.
Oh.
Or let's put it this way, we have no ordinance that doesn't permit that from taking place, so it just means there's nothing that we can do. And I know you don't want to hear that, and while I may agree with you on part of that, there's just nothing we can do. We've asked our sheriff, and we've worried them to death, but there's the county, like many counties, most counties in the state of Tennessee, and I'm sure across the country, they just don't have an ordinance that deals with that. Municipalities, yes, but counties, no. And I've been down there on a Saturday night, not at the venue, but on the street, and it would drive me crazy. But, you know, that's where we're at, and in order for us to move forward, then, you know, you step into a pit there. You said the enjoyment of life. Well, then somebody's going to come back in here and say, these people with their campers over here, you know, it's trashed up and all this stuff, and then I can't enjoy my property because of them or whatever. I mean, there's going to be two sides to that issue, and when we step into that, we have to be careful that we, I guess, tread lightly.
May I follow up?
You can.
I understand there isn't an ordinance. That doesn't say that we can't formulate one.
Draft one.
To be able to say to a citizen, yeah, all that noise, that's just tough. That's just tough. I can't believe that's where we want to sit. Thank you, sir.
I will say that this ordinance I'm looking at with the people that said it's hard to enforce, it is a noise control resolution, similar, longer, but similar to the one that we have already passed and addressed. They go through 3 pages of definitions. They have everything covered from yelling, horns. The one I thought was interesting was a pile driver, and then also a steam engine, steam whistles. They have everything covered, but when you go to the back of it, it says enforcement. The section shall be enforced by the Sheriff's Department. All violations of this subject shall be cited to Tennessee Uniform Citation, returned to the General Sessions Court, and a punitive fine of $50 per day will be issued or imposed. So they've got 12 pages matching our 1 page, and it's the same fine. So
Man.
you sure can.
If I had a, I guess, then I guess we need to fine them $50 every day. Or can we move it to an hour?
I don't think so. I think that's a state.
Okay. Let's move on.
I may just real quick.
Yes, go ahead.
It's been discussed as well, you know, after the 5th, 6th, 7th occurrence, we go in and shut them down. I don't think we have that authority as a county, because the maximum fine is $50, and that's what the state allows us to do. The state doesn't give us authority to go and say, well, you have to do it, we'll shut you down. My understanding, and Chief, you've been at this a whole lot longer than me, if you go in and you fine them $50, that doesn't mean they're gonna turn it down right then, does it? If you issue them a citation. I mean, what we're doing doesn't give you authority to say you have to shut down. My understanding.
Correct.
Citation for the actions they committed at that point.
Yeah. So.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Richardson, Chairman Hahn, one word, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Campers and the noise are completely 2 different issues. There's no camper that makes noise. That's the first thing. Second thing, it is a shame and disgrace as elected officials of Hamblen County that we cannot formulate something to take care of this. Now, I agree with Bobby. I live in America. But we need to do something. Some of these citizens have been in here every time. I remarked the other day, this little fellow, I can't think of his name, but he lives down in the West End. He has been here every time. This is the first time I haven't seen him. There has to be something as a county commission that we can do. And if we can't, it is a shame and disgrace. Thank you, Chairman.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Richardson. We'll move on now to the Bulk Waste Study Committee. Chairman Horner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the Bulk Waste Study Committee to order. Anyone wishing to address this body may do so at this time.
Hold up.
Okay, this is the first time I've ever done this, but I have been a resident of Hamblen County for over 30 years. And first of all, I want to say I really appreciate that we have the service of bulk waste removal. So thank you for providing that as a county. But I do have some concerns about it. And
Excuse me, could you state your name and address, please?
Oh, yeah,
I'm
sure. Laura Williams, and 1160 Woodwind Drive in Talbot.
Very good, thank you.
So with my concerns, I'm not specifically addressing brush removal because that's natural, it's organic, it doesn't cause an issue. But my concerns are with the other stuff, the furniture, whatever else gets put into these piles. I think there are safety and health issues because we're looking at paint, varnishes, appliances with coolants in them, TVs, any electronics, batteries, light bulbs. So it's really important that these be properly disposed of because they are hazardous to our health and to the soil. And the second thing is a lot of times it's sitting on the roadsides and in neighborhoods for a long time. I mean, I've got stuff in my neighborhood that's been there for over 2 months. And again, we've got hazards because there's lead paint from old furniture, there's varnishes, lacquers, these types of things. And as it sits there, of course, the sun is shining on it, breaking it down. The rain comes down, and those chemicals from all of that gets into the soil and into our gardens. I'm a big gardener, and so that's another big health issue that I have concerns about. And it's set out haphazardly. It's not like you have brush. I mean, you don't even know what's in the piles. There could be paint under there. There could be, who knows, because it's all heaped up together. And so there's no separation. So if there was somebody trying to enforce what's set out, how would they know without going through it with their own hands? Because it's just set out there haphazardly. And it's an eyesore. So those are the 4 concerns I have. And I'm not here just to complain or address my concerns. I also want to talk about solutions because I think there is a solution. And I think that if we work together and put our brains together, we can come up with a solution. So part of the solutions that I was thinking about, these are just basic things that, first of all, I think we should have standards regarding what is allowed to be set out and what is not allowed to be set out, how many items, 5 items, 2 items, 10 items, whatever, how often these items can be set out, weekly, monthly, once or twice a year, and how it should be organized or separated so that it can be clearly seen if there's something in there that shouldn't be picked up. And then the second stage we'd have to do is educate the residents.
Excuse me, your time is up. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it.
Mr. Bobby, would you give us her name again? I didn't catch it all, please, sir.
Laura Williams.
Laura Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, number 3A, old business, there is none. Item 4A, bulk waste update from Tommy McKinney, our codes enforcement officer, and hopefully he'll address some of the issues that was just mentioned.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Got a few things to go over here because of Helene, so bear with me. I'll try not to keep us in here too long. The bulk waste up to date so far after 13 months, we have sent out 464 violations. We have 458 of those that are in compliance, which still leaves us 6 open, and they're kind of new. So, that averages out to about 2 a day for the work week. We've kind of give out quite a few of those. As far as to maybe address some questions that we might have about bulk waste, we do have some regulations in place for bulk waste, what can be put out and what can't be put out. And for those of you who don't really realize, the guys on the trucks, they actually make an assessment. I also, when I have time to do field work, can find them and make an assessment myself. So if it does have paint, if it does have tires, if it does have garbage that's not, well, no garbage, can't be any garbage at all, even if it's bagged. If that's there, then the guys will write it up, send it to my office, and they won't pick it up. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, the way, that it has been set up. Also, as far as leaves, pine straw and that kind of thing, it has to be bagged up, because even though it may be organic, it is still looked at as litter when you're driving down the road and leaves and limbs are blowing off the back of the truck. So, Hamblen has caused a lot of damage in the Appalachian area, as everybody knows. And although we have had flood damage in the south end of town, one of the major things that we've had to deal with in Hamblen County has been high winds. People that do not travel the county in a widespread area weekly can't actually realize exactly how big of a devastation we had in Hamblen County as far as high winds. Mayor Britton declared an emergency at the time of the devastation, and Mayor Cutshaw has continued with that declaration as far as some of our departments, especially the Highway and Garbage Department. And that has been extended to them because this cleanup has been going on for quite some time. FEMA has to approve us a site to burn vegetation so that we don't put it into the landfill. Okay. Immediately following the devastation of Hamblen, the Highway and Garbage Department started retrieving all of the limbs, leaves, all the vegetation. From that point until November the 1st, and thank you, Commissioner Richardson, for this information. From that time till November the 1st, there was exactly 280 tons of vegetation taken to the landfill. That's 560,000 pounds. Over 500,000 pounds of vegetation went to the landfill. FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Association, they're the ones that we had to wait on to approve our site to put the vegetation in, okay? So after November the 1st, we finally got approval from FEMA to dispose of the debris, and the calculations of the debris went from weighing to volume. Now FEMA is checking it by cubic yards because we don't have scales at that site to weigh it anyway, so they're doing it by volume. Okay. Once the cleanup efforts have ceased, FEMA will make a determination of the size, and then they will tell us that we can dispose of it. FEMA has to look at it. They have to make sure that, okay, you said you got this much, we agree with you, then it can be disposed of. From November the 1st to the present day, which present day means Friday, I think, when I got this information from Commissioner Richardson, the Highway Department has took 6,600 cubic yards of vegetation to this site. That's 270 loads. My pointing's the right way, too.
Not the middle.
Oh, yes. Oh. Okay, maybe I've got it here, I hope. Do I go sideways with it? Trish?
There you go.
Okay,
Got it.
okay, I got it. All right. So, this is a panoramic shot, okay? This is out past the, I don't know if y'all know where the little RC place is where they fly the planes. This is back behind, okay? This is a panoramic shot. Now, this is where they have been disposing of since November the 1st. So there's one shot. I moved over, there's another shot, 3 and 4. That's what they put, that's 6,600 cubic yards that they've placed in the spot. That's just in vegetation. They have recently started seeing some waste from the floods and damage. Those have been delayed because FEMA delays things. They want to make sure that this has happened and that's happened before anybody starts working. I mean, just in a nutshell, before anybody starts working on their home or whatever. You have to get a permit, that kind of thing. So those things have kind of been delayed, but we are seeing some of that now alongside the road. Flood damage stuff, there's some. Most of this is in the southern part of the county, which is not, of course, is not vegetation. So we are still seeing those things which are eventually going to have to be cleaned up as well. And most of this right here is in the southern part of the county. So, the highway department will be moving to the west end of the county tomorrow. I think that's right. Is that right, Commissioner? They have one truck picking up debris today, and then the rest of them are in garbage trucks because they are making up for yesterday's holiday. They will be moving to the west end of town to work on the debris out there. According to George at the highway department, the supervisor, he was telling me that hopefully, if everything goes well, they should be able to get vegetation cleaned up by the second week in December. Okay, so if you think about it, when you're working on the west end of town, you got a lot farther to travel to go to get rid of your debris. So that is a good conservative estimate, the second week in December. So, as the county code enforcement officer and the guy that's speaking for the highway department, the cleanup efforts are massive and still ongoing. We are respectfully asking the residents of Hamblen County to be understanding to our past and current efforts to bring things back to a normal state. We know, they know, if you go out there and look right now, bulk waste is everywhere, and it's just because these guys are making the best effort that they can above and beyond to try to just clean up our devastation from Hamblen. Is there any questions from anybody?
No.
Commissioner Green?
I have a question. What's the projected date for you to clean up everything else? You gave us December for what I call brush and trees, but what about the rest of them? What is the projected date for cleanup there? Because I'm like this lady, I'm seeing it everywhere, and it's horrible.
Yes, ma'am. I know that it's horrible, and the reason why that it's there is, like I say, the efforts to clean up just the storm damage is massive. As far as that goes, George he goes out and makes assessments of what we're having to pick up as far as brush now. He, me, Mike, I don't think anybody has went out and just looked to see how much other that we have out there. I mean, I know it's a large amount, but we can't make that determination of how long it will take to get that cleaned up after we get the brush, because there's so much of it out there. You would have to look at each section and try to make that determination, and I couldn't even, and I don't think George could even give you a close estimate of when that would be.
So let me clarify my question then. When will you start going out to look at that to see when it might get to
I'm
it?
looking at it every day. That's why, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this to everybody's attention. I see what's out there, and I have no idea. I can't make that determination. There's bulk waste all over the county right now.
How many trucks are we presently running as far as the brush and so forth?
Commissioner Richardson, could you answer that for me?
There's usually about 4 trucks, sometimes 5 trucks, depending on.
Every day or just
Yes,
certain times?
every day, since September the 27th. I think that was the date. The Thursday night that the storm came in, there was 3 pages of trees down in the road, blocking. So they've been cutting and cleaning and running somewhere between 4 and 5 trucks daily since then, moving debris.
Okay, next question, are they putting in extra time or are they just working a regular schedule?
Depends on where they are, but most of the time it's a regular schedule because of where the landfill shuts down.
And it shuts down when?
Sometime about 3:30.
Okay.
And the same thing with the burn pit, I'm assuming.
Mike, you know, when you get behind on something, sometimes you might have to work overtime,
Amen.
like pick up a Saturday. Well, you can't take it out there because the landfill's closed on Saturday. Maybe the landfill might need to open up on Saturday.
Yeah, we have no control
Have you
over
looked at that at all?
We have no control over this. That's the solid waste.
The only way you're
board.
gonna get ahead if you get more of it done, so.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I got.
So when you showed that panoramic, that's not where it can be burned?
Yes, ma'am.
So- Oh, that's it,
That
okay,
is
so
the
that
burn
doesn't
site.
have to be moved?
No, ma'am.
It's what's along the road, those pictures that you're, okay. So that you're, when they say you can burn, you're gonna burn?
Yes, ma'am. It has to be, everything has to be looked at by FEMA.
Yes, sir.
We show them what we say we have, FEMA looks at it, and we will be reimbursed somewhat. Mr. Bell could probably answer that question better than I could, but we will be reimbursed by FEMA because we are under, it is a disaster.
Then let me follow up. So if that's the burn, so it doesn't have to be moved, so those 4 trucks could take what's on the road, move it there, and then we don't have to worry about a landfill, am I right?
That's the process, is to take,
Okay.
Under the TDEC approved burn site,
Yes, sir.
we're trying to get all the vegetated debris to that site. They'll have an incinerator set up there, and that'll be the burn pit. And then that alleviates taking
Right.
this brush to the landfill.
But some of
The
the stuff.
construction debris and the
Yeah.
other C and D waste, they call it, will have to go to the landfill.
Okay, there's the
Yeah, because
glitch.
Yeah, we
Okay.
won't burn that, right.
I see, thank
And
you.
it was kind of sad that we had to wait on FEMA, but we put 500,000 pounds of brush in the landfill because we had no place to put it.
And the city also
Wow.
put as well.
And and the city put theirs in until FEMA approved the site. So, we could have had a whole lot more here, but, you got to wait on them.
Yes,
so to
sir.
speak.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Anyone else? If not, appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thank you for what you do. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Chairman Horner, and to the road department. Trash, you're to be commended. We have these eyesores beside the road, but we also have to keep in mind comparatively, for all that pile of garbage out there, construction debris, that's someone's house. So I think our patience and prayers need to be focused on that, and we'll get through this. We didn't get it bad, but we'll get through this. But thank you. We'll move on now to the Finance Committee. Chairman Rodney Long.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now call the Finance Committee to order. Is there any visitors wishing to address the committee about agenda items only? This time you have 3 minutes. Seeing none, we will move to number 3, the recurring business. That is the expenditure reports and monthly checks. I hope you all have had a chance and will look over those. We will move to number 4, old business, and we do not have any. We will move to new business. It would be 5A, Resolution 24, resolution authorizing Hamblen County to apply for a grant from the Tennessee Opioid Abatement Council to expand the county's Jail to Work program. County Mayor Chris Cutshaw, can you on the song?
Good evening, Commissioners. Tonight, before you is a resolution to apply for a grant of $1.5 million to expand our Jail to Work program. Mayor Britton started the Jail to Work for women some years ago, and this one would be to expand or start a new beginning, the Jail to Work for men, which helps with recidivism. We get folks out of the jail into the program, put them to work, give them a pathway. And it has generational repercussions if you can get somebody back on the path. But this money, this 1.5, is coming from a state opioid council. And it'll be presented to this county to give us this startup grant. Mayor Britton's here to address any additional questions. He is still the chairman of our opioid abatement committee here in our county. And that includes several folks of how to spend the money. But this 1.5 comes with a 15% match over a 3-year period. That's $75,000 a year. That money would come out of our opioid abatement money that Hamblen County has. No additional cost to our citizens. It's using money that has came to us through the opioid abatement. But this program is designed, again, to begin that jail to work, housing, finding a way to get them back on the right path. Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions? Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mike Reed,
I'll second.
second by Joe Huntsman. Is any discussion? Let's vote the motion, please. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will now move to 5B, Resolution 24. It's a resolution authorizing participation in the Correctional Career Pathway Program for male inmates offered by the Tennessee Institute of Public Health at the East Tennessee State University. Again, Mayor Cutshaw.
Yes, this opportunity came to Mayor Britton as he was about to leave office. As he was retiring, this opportunity came to us in a way that the Correctional Career Pathway has offered a program giving us $50,000 to use to, again, help these folks find transportation, find their training, their work supplies, what's needed to get them back on their feet. It's a good program that we're going to use in conjunction with Jail to Work. It comes also with a $50,000 match. So that's $50 coming to us through this program, and we're going to add an additional $50 through our opioid abatement money, and that will go in conjunction with what we're doing with Jail to Work.
Does anyone have any questions? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
First, Mr. Walker,
Second.
second by Mr. Harville. Is there any discussion? Let's vote the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move to 5C, Third Judiciary District Recovery Court Expansion Project and Narratives and Contracts. Ms. Penny Knight, Recovery Court Coordinator.
Good evening. As y'all remember, I was here in the spring asking for permission for us to apply for this federal grant. And I apologize I didn't have this, the press release. You might have saw it in the newspaper or heard it on the radio station or saw it on the Knoxville news station that we won it. So we've got this federal grant for the next 5 years. And part of the scope, which I would have I've sent out in your package, plus the notice of award, we have to subcontract with a provider as part of this expansion project to offer services. And we'd also contract with an evaluator. So I'm here to ask for permission for those two contracts that were
Oh,
put in the packet for you tonight. Did I make enough copies? I'm sorry. If you'd already seen that, maybe if you haven't seen it, we can share.
Looks like I got some more.
Pass it on to you, I'll check it later.
Was there any questions about the contracts? We're anxious to get those signed and submitted.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you, Ms. Knight. We will be voting on two items in this under 5C. The first one will be the agreement for professional services, and the second will be the contract for professional consulting services. So we'll take 5C1, agreement for professional services. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Mike Reed. Do I have a second?
second.
Debbie Ahern. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Howe?
Yes, sir, thank you. I hated for you to step away, but I had the opportunity to go to the graduation.
Oh, were you there?
Yes, ma'am.
That was a good one.
It was an
It was a good
excellent
day.
one, and what a great day for you and the program, and to see those folks who had been given, I don't know how many chances, but they were given another chance. And they were very complimentary of our sheriff's department and your efforts, and good golly, it was a winner. So I needed to say that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we have a first and a second, so let's vote the motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Now we will go to C2, this is contract for the professional consultant services. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Debbie Ahern. Do I have a second? Second. Kyle Walker. Is there any discussion? Let's vote the motion. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, Ms. Knight. Now we move to 5D, budget amendments. This falls under Finance Director Amanda Hale, but we will start with D1, Hamblen County Department of Education budget amendment number 4, increase of $5,565,971.56. We have Ms. Tracy Antrigan, Senior Accountant, Hamblen County Schools.
There are several parts within this amendment. The first item is a request to budget $835,000 in fund balance. We had a project under the Career and Technical Ed program, classroom expansion at West High School that was included in our Innovative School Models grant. It was bid once and came in way over budget, and so the plans were scaled back, and it was bid again, and it's still over budget. And so we request to use $835,000 of fund balance to fill in the gap, to be able to complete that project. The second item, we received, of course, a $5,000 donation from the county commission for Narcan boxes in the schools. $500 U-Trust grant to Miller Boyd, which they will use for staff appreciation activities. $119,729 from the Noswanger Foundation, which we've received. I think this is our second wave, and this is still for the Project On Track tutoring for our students. $361,343 is a state special education preschool grant for our preschool classrooms at Manly and Russellville. And this is staffing, supplies, and materials, and equipment for those classrooms. $3.4 million, and you've seen this one before. This is our third year of having it. We were awarded $4 million under the Innovative School Models. That's the grant I was talking about earlier. from the State Department, and we still have $3.4 million remaining for this year and next year. And this is a request to budget that. The scope hasn't changed, other than they've added 2 part-time work-based learning positions to assist with students doing work-based learning, supervise those students in the field. And also $801,330. We talked about this one before. It's a transfer from our federal fund to the general fund. It's a state mandated item for the comprehensive coordinated early intervening services. And this is where they had the disproportionality in identification in our special education students, and we're required to transfer money over to the general fund in order to provide them early intervening services prior to them being identified for special education. That's the last item. I'll be happy to answer any questions about any of those.
Does anyone have any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Harville, do I have a second?
Second.
Debbie Ahern, second. Is there any discussion? Let's vote the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Antrim. Ms. Hale will come forward. We will move to D2, Fund 101, Probate Services of $150,000. Ms. Hale?
The budget amendment in front of you is in the general fund, and in September, Mayor Britton came before commission and asked you all to fund the new probation court that Don Baird is going to take up. And this budget amendment just allocates all the funds needed to the appropriate lines within this new department. So just for reference, I think Mayor Britton shared with you his proposed budget, but this includes 1 probation officer that has, I think, already begun work, so November through June, and then they're anticipating hiring 2 additional probation officers March through June, so that's included in that. And then Don thinks he will need 2 clerks or receptionist type employees also March through June. There's 3 cell phones included in this, and then additional benefits and various office supplies and uniforms. But the money will go into these line items, but it is coming from, and we'll get to that on the next budget amendment, but it's all coming from the opioid money. So nothing out of general fund balance.
Does anyone have any questions? Do I have a motion? Motion, Mr. Huntsman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who's the second? Mr. Doty. Let's vote the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We move to D3, Fund 128, Drug Use Abatement Fund, $150,000. Ms. Hale.
This is the corresponding budget amendment to the previous one, and it just recognizes the transfer out of the opioid fund and then using the unassigned fund balance from that fund as well.
Any questions on that? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion on that. I want to make a motion on that. Yeah.
Okay. Second. Second by Mr. Walker. Let's vote the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Hale. Item 6 is just items of interest. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have this time.
Thank you, Chairman Long. We move on now to the Calendar and Rules Committee. Chairman Thomas Doty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the Calendar and Rules Committee meeting to order. If we have any visitors wishing to address this committee about agenda items, you may do so now. Seeing none, we'll move forward. Item 3, old business, we have none. Item 4, new business, we have the review of the regular calendar items. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Horner, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Ahern, thank you. Any discussion on these? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4B is review of the consent calendar items. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Ahern, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Reed, thank you, sir. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. That concludes our business for this evening. Be safe out there. Our next full commission meeting will be November 21st, 5 o'clock in this courtroom. We stand adjourned.